Okay, so the reason I am here is because Simi and I were talking at the pickleball fundraiser that you all were so instrumental in attending and participating. That was one of the most impressive events I had seen in a while. And because the Gainesville Haymarket Rotary really led the charge, sir, and you especially, Chris. You were amazing. So Simi and I got to talking about what we do as a company, as a nonprofit organization. Piedmont Dispute Resolution Center started in 1990. And so we started with a $25 donation from the United Way, and it was all volunteer. And then down the road a piece, and I don't know for how long, but we started giving a small salary to the executive director, Lori Parker, at that time, now the emeritus of Piedmont, what is now Piedmont Peace Center. So when Lori decided to retire, we brought on Brandon Bastian, because he had already been with us for 10 years in our Office of Dispute Resolution in Manassas, and he knows the company extremely well. So he was a perfect fit, and he still is. And he does a beautiful job keeping new ideas flowing smoothly for our organization. Because I'm a Rotarian, and I've been a Rotarian since Wes Shortridge and I started back in 2009. I wanted to bring about peace building into Rotary. It's a seemingly slow process to get it off the ground. Peace building, the international president was very much into peace building. He was from Ireland a couple of years ago. I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but I sure wanted to meet him. But he really wanted peace building to take hold and be something of importance. Muldaney? I think you're correct. Muldaney, yes. Gordon, yeah, he just looked like one of the kindest people you'd ever want to meet. So, but rather than me trying to tell you all the things that we do, we have cut our teeth in 8 counties and 15 jurisdictions on court-referred mediations for family court, custody, visitation, and child support and spousal support. We also do general district court, small claims, landlord-tenant, and that type of thing. I'm the director, and I oversee about 15 to 20 mediators that I assign to the cases that we are given by the courts. So it's a big job, and Brandon oversees all of it. And so rather than me trying to tell you all what peace building means to us, I would like Brandon to give you his vision for what we can do for our communities, not just Rotary. We need to bring communities together, and it's not an easy thing to do, but we can do it. Yes, ma'am.
COVID and everything.
Yes, Jackie. Yeah.
Peter Kyle, was our director at the time, and I was connected to something, and Patricia Schaefer was on, and I'm pretty sure, were you a speaker and talking about, or something about this Piedmont Peace Center during that time? Any of you remember?
Are you talking about was it with the Global Peace Building group, or was it separate?
This Patricia was on and Peter Kyle was on. It probably was.
Because I know so the community mediation centers across Virginia work together. And I know that one of the executive directors of the community mediation center in Charlottesville did a presentation for the Global Peace Building group. So it could have been her.
Oh, okay. Because I remember the steps they were talking about in mediation and all like that.
Yeah.
It's coming back to me.
That's good.
I know it was COVID.
A while ago.
Yeah.
6 years. 6 years. But I would like for Brandon to give an explanation of where he sees us making an impact in our communities. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So as Sylvia said, we cut our teeth in terms of facilitation and working in conflict in the mediation field. So a lot of facilitation of conflict, usually court referred, which means usually it's reached a crisis point already. Somebody's needed to file with the court, somebody wants to sue somebody else. So reaching crisis, and we're able to help people navigate those crisis waters and come out with hopefully an agreement, which is great, but also really frustrating when we see the need for working through conflict earlier in the process. We can see those pivot points where, oh, if they'd only had a few more skills in their tool belt before they got to that point, they could have avoided even where we are now. I will say the other area that we've cut our teeth is in restorative justice. And most of the programs that we have worked with work with juveniles. And so we're talking about juveniles who've committed a crime. They've done something that constitutes a crime, and somebody has decided that they need some alternative way to deal with it rather than just the punitive criminal justice system, that they want them to have some sort of restorative aspect. And in our work with them, and especially with the leadership of Carolyn Lamm, who's in charge of our learning programs and our juvenile work, bringing a lot more to that restorative lens where we do a lot of skill building work with kids, because we see that a lot of the time, if something has gone wrong, we can try to get them interested in changing. But if we don't lay out the path of how to change, then all we've done is made them excited to change and not know where to go with that energy. So we do a lot of skill building with young people that helps them to pivot and to change their lives and to make better decisions and not go into further crime. The reason I bring that up is because I think that that is the way that we approach peace building. So we know that one of the core values of Rotary is peace building and conflict resolution, conflict work. And I think that the big P peace building, the solving the problems of the world, the bridging political divides, that's really daunting and in a lot of ways demoralizing, because there's no easy answer to any of that. And to me, working in Rotary groups where we are very local, I don't think capital P peace building is necessarily the goal of a chapter of Rotary. To me, it's the lowercase p peace building. So what does that look like? That looks, I think the building blocks of peace building is in connection. So something that we have done is try to take all of our skills from crisis work and kind of reverse engineer what is it that gets us there, and take our background in building skills to get us where we want to go and say, okay, what are the outcomes that we want, and what skills do we need in order to get there, and how do we build those? So some of what we've put together in working with the Warrenton Club, we know that the group there is very events based. They love to sink their teeth into a thing. So like we do something around July 4th, the reading of the Declaration of Independence on the steps of the courthouse. So we say, okay, we're going to be doing that. How can we build peace out of that? Because just reading the Declaration of Independence is a nice way to commemorate the day, but what does it do in the community? And by itself, it might not do very much. But if we take a little bit of a lens of, oh, what are we going to build together? How are we going to build connections out of this? Where does it go from there? And then we say, okay, so if we've got events-based stuff, we've got a big thing, what can we do as a club leading up to that event? And so we say, okay, well, we're meeting, if we meet every week or every other week, can we have one time, like 10 minutes once a month, to do a little bit of skill building, where we say, okay, we are going to do, so, okay, here's a better example. We had a Vet Connect walk in Remington. So it was the first of its kind. We're going to try to do it annually. It was put on by the Veterans Task Force, convened by the Mental Health Association in Fauquier County. And they got together veterans and non-veterans and wanted them to spend time walking around the community gardens and just getting to know each other a little bit better. And what we put together, sorry, that's going to be a sound hit. What we put together was the prompts that would help to build meaningful conversations and a few tips for how to keep a conversation going with somebody that you don't know very well. And that helps to build intentional connection points. and it gave people something to fall back on if the conversation wasn't flowing well. And it turned into this really lovely thing where people in the community who didn't have the opportunity to get to know each other before got to know each other better. And what we tried to do is to work with Rotarians leading up to that and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. We would love to have Rotary support behind this event. And you can be the means for this to be really successful because we can go over some of these tips beforehand and practice some of them and really be able to make this into a more effective event together so that we've got something built in the community and Rotary can lead the charge to make it really good. So that's kind of our way of, like, we know that planning these sorts of things takes a lot. And when we're living in the peace business, we can help come up with some of those things and help to implement them, where we can look at what is it that we want to do, how do we get there, and how can we help to build the skills that will make that really successful. And I can tell you it's really rewarding for us because we are very good at what we do with people in crisis, but it's nice to get to people before it hits crisis point. It's nice to get to kids, like recognizing that, yeah, our society isn't great at teaching people how to deal with conflict. What we do with young people is we tell them, if you're in conflict, escalate it to an adult. Tell a parent, tell a teacher, let them handle it. And then they enter the workforce and we say, oh, if you've got a conflict, if something comes up, escalate it to a manager. Let the manager take care of it. Then we promote them to manager and we say, why can't you handle conflict? You're supposed to be able to do this. We just expect them to download it as they go. And some of them do. But how much better is it when we're able to work with them and build those skills and really intentionally help them get to that point? And so we're trying to build the skill building and build the structures and the framework and the scaffolding to get people to where they want to be. And yeah, I guess that's a lot of what we have. That's what we have been doing with Rotary Club in Warrenton. That's what we're trying to see how we can be more involved in the community because we are a pretty well kept secret. You know, I live just around the corner. I'm off of the Heathcote. I live here on the border of Gainesville and Haymarket, so nice and close. We've been in Warrenton since 1990. We've been running the office for mediation, the Office of Dispute Resolution across the street from the courthouse in Manassas, doing Prince William County court work since 2009, 2008, 2009, I think. So, 16, 17, 18 years we've been in the community. And I don't think that we've been doing enough in the community. And we're trying to step up and really step into that role because we need peace more than anything now. And peace has to be something more than just that feeling. We can't be building a feeling. Peace has to be something achievable. And so we have to be able to figure out what are the things that mark peace. How do we get to that outcome? And so peace has to be something that we work towards, and it has to be something achievable. It can't be this nebulous idea of peace on earth, which is great, but we'll never achieve that. And our world does need more of that, but we've got things that we can do in our community and the people around us that will be peace to us. Any questions? Anything that we can help with? We're more than happy to be part of.
Would you like me to share some of the kinds of skills that we teach?
Sure.
A little bit about that. I'm not sure how this works.
Just attach it to.
I don't have to turn anything on.
Nope, you can lay it right here.
I lay it right there. That's good. So, did you want to do that first? Okay.
Well, since they are in people's hands.
Well, yes.
The brochure that Sylvia handed out. It's not our general brochure. It's actually for it's called our police referred mediation. So we have a federal grant that allows us to offer some of our services and get them paid for by the grant rather than have them paid for by individuals. So we do offer, this is not needing to be court referred. This can actually just be community referred or self-referred work, where if you have a mediation with a neighbor or something like that you would like to do, but also that we can do stuff like conflict coaching or conflict exploration, where we can work through, you know that you're not going to get the other person to come to the table, but you would like some help figuring out what can I do better to deal with this and to de-escalate the conflict in my life. And we would love to be able to help with that and have the federal government pay for it rather than have individuals pay for it. And some of the restorative justice skill building type things that Carolyn's about to talk about are included in that. So if you have anybody in your life And I would say close to our heart, especially young people that could use this, we would love to help with that. So, sorry. I'm just here.
Thanks.
Okay, well, we're always going to do is to share a few of the things that we talk about skill building, and that sounds kind of like vague. So I just wanted to put some ideas in more concrete form for you. So when we talk about peace building, one of the things that we kind of insist on when we're working with people is that we don't just talk about peace, we put it into action, and that we're trying to be as intentional as possible about building connections and intentionally working to solve problems in a constructive way. So we teach skills all around those pieces. And the more we're doing those things directly and actively and intentionally and applying some skills that we know work, the more we are going to be building peace, at least the ripple effect of the people we have around us, and hopefully that ripples on out. But some of the things that we look at is like with our teens who come in who are court referred, or our families that come in who are trying to rebuild connections after there's been some domestic sort of incident that was disruptive, is first we look at like the escalation process and what causes escalations and what kinds of things can you do when you identify that something's about to escalate or has the potential to escalate, and how could we perhaps do some things to prevent that, interrupt it, de-escalate it, and looking at what kinds of skills would it take to do that. So we also are looking at skill building around communication skills, around maybe we need to deal with some borders first. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I want you to get your order right. No problem at all. So yeah, it's definitely communication skills. How do you do problem solving? How do you identify predictable problems? And then if you've got know a predictable problem is out there potentially going to rise up, then what can you do to prevent it or at least make it as productive as possible? How do you communicate needs and wants appropriately in ways that are going to be constructive and helpful? And then how do we listen to each other so that we're not just thinking about what's going on in our own heads and what we want, but we're listening to the other person's point of view in a genuine way so that we have a meeting of the minds so that we can solve problems together. So those are the types of skills, and we can go into more detail about that at another time if anybody's interested, but those are the kinds of things. So we're not talking about peace, the capital P, just talking about it in a theory way. We are saying, no, there's actionable steps. And we use a lot of the skills that are directly from the science of behavior change. How do we actually change our behavior so things go differently in the future? So those are the kinds of things we work on.
Well, it's fantastic. I think you guys are doing a lot. So you got thousands of referrals from the courts a year. Right? How are you handling that volume? Who pays for that? Is the brand? Does the brand focus on improving community before it gets to a court, or is the brand related to servicing the
grant was originally intended to help bolster what the police is able to offer. So law enforcement really isn't equipped to deal with the little things. Like if it's not criminal, police aren't supposed to be terribly involved.
right?
And so we were supposed to be helping to bolster that. What we found though is that partnering with police and being able to do that is tough because they already have so much going on. The referral system was, and so we ended up being able to amend it so that it was community based a little bit more, so community can make referrals. We are using it mostly to try to help build connections and capacity so that we have more connections with partners so that when any sort of conflict comes up where we can be helpful, they know about us. In answer to who pays for the court referred stuff, so the state has something worked out where there's a small amount that gets paid to coordinators of mediation, so that's where we get a little bit of money, and then we have to get involved in grants and government budgets and stuff like that. Mediators are paid per case, so we have a number of contract mediators who per case will handle things. Most of them are retired people because it doesn't pay enough that we can attract young people. So usually it's either retired people or moonlighting. And so, but that means that we get a broad variety of experience. People from all walks of life who make very good mediators because of their life experience.
Gotcha. What's the skill qualification for that?
So we have, so for basic non-family cases, there's 20-hour training about how to mediate, 4-hour training on judicial systems in Virginia, and then a co-facilitation mentoring type model, where I think the only thing really is either a bachelor's degree or a written thing explaining why you don't have a bachelor's degree, but why your life experience is good enough. And then family takes another 20-hour training and 8-hour training on domestic violence issues and a whole other set of simulation.
And then our restorative intervention training is for people who want to do the restorative intervention facilitation. And that's a 3 to 4 day training and follow up with some co-facilitation and coaching, and until, you know, they're kind of ready to do it independently. So those are, and those include referrals like from, we're getting referrals from a variety of places right now. Like Department of Social Services is interested in looking in our direction. FAPT, I don't know if you know what family action planning teams are, but those teams that when a child is not doing well at school because of things that are outside the school's control, family issues, neighborhood issues, court involvement of family members, those sorts of things, then they go to a family action planning team, and often they're referred to community agencies, except there aren't that many community agencies. We're kind of an under-resourced area as far as things to refer families to. So then they are looking at putting the folks in our direction, because we directly look at Family Connections program, where we look at, okay, so let's identify some of the issues you're trying to navigate, and can we use some strategies, develop some skills, and practice using those together right now to see if you can develop some new ways of handling those. So if anybody here is interested in being a facilitator, yes.
Does your organization work with like parent liaisons and schools? Because, for example, Battlefield is a very well-off area where privileged students, however, we have also non-privileged students, and these students are mostly kind of formed class.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
I have a Battlefield student myself.
right.
Oh, you are, okay.
And that's exactly what we're looking at, is in service gaps, because waiting to see a therapist, for example, is a whole different kind of journey. And that's not always what families need. Sometimes they just need some skill building on the spot without waiting months for an intervention of some sort and support.
Do the schools know about your organization, like so that they can reach out to you?
Culpeper County Schools does now, and they're saying, Fauquier County.
It's no, it's very tough to, because if we get in with even one good person, sometimes it will ripple out. But we know that because each school is its own little thing, getting to the right people and having that ripple out to the right people is hard. Like I'm good friends with one of the counselors at Battlefield, but I don't think that she realizes that she can refer things to me. I have, like, I send my daughter to her.
Yes.
But I don't know that she realizes that she can refer things to me, and I talk to her about what I do, but it's hard because the schools are very self-protective. They're very insular, and the way it's very bureaucratic as well. We would love to be able to fill some of those service gaps, because we know that there are students who could really use it. And like one of my things is I work with marching band because my daughter's in marching band, and I'm intending to have, if I can convince the director, I want to have the kids trained in team mental health first aid, because being able to talk about mental health issues, like if we have the most captive audience for 2 weeks in the summer before they go into school, we can do a lot of good and have it ripple out from that group.
Exactly, like for example, being a guest speaker, because I know that the first day, first lunch, first day is a nightmare in high school for the freshmen. And I even read a post on Facebook that some kids ate lunch in the bathroom. So maybe if you can like go and just like educate the parents. I know that because of privacy policy, your hands might be tied, but maybe at least make parents and the students aware of your organization, and maybe they can reach, or maybe counselors can refer, hey, I'm not allowed to share your information with this nonprofit, However, here's the sources, here are the sources.
And parents can refer themselves,
Yeah,
yes.
somebody to do it as top down, go to the board of, the board. Of a school board, school board, exactly.
Yeah.
And go to.
That's, I'm actually friends with 2 school board members, and they
I
both,
go to-
but because I'm their friend, then they won't go to bat for me, because they're like, oh, that looks like a conflict of interest, and I'm like, okay,
Same with your
so it's better if I
colleagues.
don't know you.
And your colleagues said, but I
Yes.
don't, or put a written permission proposal in, we would like to roll this out in the county, we have this resource,
Well, if we have people who can help us get through to navigate some of that, because it is tough.
We can start from this, like, I think, parent, principal advisory, whatever the name is, they are changing.
Okay.
Like Isabel Castifford on board, and I was the chairperson for them. Maybe you can go there as a speaker.
Sure.
So something like, at least someone needs to know there are resources that it, there are so many things, because I know from the lunch bags they prepared, and they're secretly handed out to those kids. And they need to have sources.
Yeah.
Chris, do you think, would it be good to get this as a vacant column?
So with the Family Resource Center work, we have a lot of work going on in the public schools, so we can definitely help there. We have our president of the group is a law enforcement officer, so obviously you've got a alignment. I'm not sure if you guys are working with Team Quest now. Okay, so that's the program for juvenile youth risk and prevention, right? So it's trying to help them get into a better spot. Like they put in things that would be good information for those kids, right? Like what you're doing, right? So there's a lot of overlap. So I was just trying to think like of all the different things that you're doing, like beauty prevention. There's things that are already adult crisis mode, right? And depending on whether you need more mediators, right? So mediators, right? There's more people, or whether you're looking and getting volunteers from the community that could go through the classes, learn, and spread out the word, actually helps too. So I think there's multiple different touch points that I'm thinking about. But it depends on what you're. I'm struggling with how you're dealing with the bandwidth already.
Yeah.
You're already dealing with that many cases and you already have.
Luckily,
That much inbound, so
yeah.
how much time do you have to go scramble through new?
Well, luckily, in terms of, our mediation machine is well-oiled, runs well. We're always looking for new people to add into our roster because there is churn, and in our Manassas office, the average age that we've kept a lot of mediators from the time that I first started a dozen years ago. So that means that our average age has gone up by 12 in a dozen years. So we have some people who are essentially aging out of being able to continue to do the work. So we are always looking for more mediators, but we're not struggling with capacity with mediation. In building out more of this preventive work, we are turning the corner. So we're not at the very start, but we've built the trainings, we've built the programs in a lot of ways, and we have some of the connections going that we're over the first little bit, and now we are trying to build up. We do need more people trained and working with the skill building piece. So
And were those all volunteers, I'm sorry? Were they?
no, so there are some of the centers statewide that are volunteer only. We are lucky enough that we are very stable financially, and so we do offer compensation, and we try to make as fair compensation as possible for our.
So maybe big part. Maybe good for it.
Yeah, one of the things that would be nice, so we don't have like full-time facilitation, but I mean, one of the things that I would love is parents who are trying to re-enter the workforce after staying at home quite a bit, so they want to have kind of piecemeal time, or people who find themselves with a little bit more time, either early retirees or people who are only doing part-time work and want a little bit of extra. Like I mean, some people can handle full-time and doing a little bit of stuff for us, but that's a lot.
Any other questions?
But one thing I guess you'd say is if you're interested in doing projects around peace building, there are community projects, just like you did with Vet Connect. We're interested in partnering with people to help put those together. Didn't get dental. And I don't know what sort of projects you folks have on the horizon, if you're looking into doing some peace building. We kind of focus on the local peace building, the hyper local peace building, as Brandon likes to call it sometimes. We don't need to look too far afield to know that we can do some good work locally.
So those, thought, I don't know if you guys would be available with all the speech, but, the officer that I was talking about, who puts on a parent educational series, does it,
What's the officer's name? Because I might know who you're talking
TJ
about.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yes, yeah.
So they bring in, for their talks, panelists in different areas, please fill in,
Mhm.
right? They did the trafficking topic, they deal with internet safety for the kids, bullying, domestic violence prevention, all that kind of thing. So like you can just work everybody into those types of series. There's social services there, UBA articles there, the current organizations that support it are there, so you could always get involved with any of those if you wanted to get connected with those. So we run this Team Plus program.
The summer program.
A whole bunch of these types of programs. So I think that there's a lot of, I think there would be a lot of interest, obviously, in what you're doing, just even to present the information out. And we have an RV that we go around in the community and we share different resources and we can take the materials, bring it out to people, let them know that there's.
Oh, that's great.
A group that does this, so we go into the community.
Right.
Bring people out of their homes, and if there are people that are dealing with like conflict issues, a lot of them are like landlord pressure, type of stuff. You know, it'd be nice if they knew that they might have some status.
Mhm.
A lot of foreign languages, 70% Hispanic, maybe, all sorts of different Arabic. Which I don't really deal with language stuff, but there's obviously, well, a lot of business contract resolutions issues, like, you know, somebody getting paid to do the painting in the house, didn't get paid, that type of thing, and they don't have a contract, it's all with a text message,
Right.
all that kind of stuff is happening, like.
Oh, yes.
People get taken advantage of, their status, information, other things like that, so. There's huge need.
Yes.
And, I also think that there's a huge workforce need, there's a lot of people who like to have work, they stay at home, say. But if they have to be taught a skill, like a little extra income.
Yeah.
I think that those are more, right? So then the question I would have is how would we pontificate some of these types of things? We'd like to, there's a series going on tonight, it's on mental health for kids. And that's 5:30 to 6:30.
Where's it already?
Manas Community Center, down right off Southern Road. I think it starts at 6:30. I can find the place. If you want to go, I can share with you the information.
I'll be able to. Yeah, a board meeting and the final band concert.
Yeah. Too late to figure it out. That
Yeah. It's a little more lead time. Yes. But we can probably go the next time. Yes.
So I'd like to introduce you, you already know him,
Mhm.
but if we were thinking like strategically, how would we partner on it? Yep. Figure it out. But yeah, it's great stuff.
Yes. And he does great work and is well loved by the community and he does knows how to connect with kids. I was coordinating the restorative justice referrals in Prince William County. And crossed paths with him there because there's a Zoom meeting that happens like once a month where we talk over things. And then there are some places that we presented together with Captain Hardiman, who's kind of our juvenile justice captain over at the courthouse in Prince William. So, yeah.
One of the thoughts I had just real quick is like the idea of adopting a community. So let's say you took a affordable housing complex that needs help, doesn't have conflict resolution. Imagine we provided that type of service for a specific community, ultimately elementary, training people within that community so that you would have advocates within that community and then see if there's some sort of impact over time on the prevention side of things.
Skill building.
Yes, and I think homeowners associations also get into things where instead of it getting escalated, it could just be talked through at an earlier stage if that was offered.
Yeah, we run into problems. Let's say that we're residents and landlords, we get involved, they might not want us there anymore.
Yeah,
If it's property.
absolutely.
So we try to.
Right, you need a neutral party.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of what we would do would be not so much to advocate for anybody,
Right.
but help them to build the skills so that they can advocate for themselves.
Mhm.
And know how to navigate conflict and know what their rights are, but in a way that they can stand up for themselves without it having someone else do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Well,
we work with landlords the same way.
so who's my closest contact point to go to arrange that? All of you?
Oh, I
Probably
think,
any of us, we do, like, we communicate quite a bit. I have my,
Yeah.
I'll give you my tag. Alright. And if I don't have the capacity to deal with it, I'll just hand it off to somebody else.
All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you. Really great.
I'm hoping that we encourage people through our lead communicator thing, that if you know, obviously you're working here today, be sure to like, we have reporting and we have our own YouTube channel that to for other members of the club to be sure to watch it, or, you know, I just think that this is great, and obviously we have a little bit for today.
Want to happy talk?